How expats become broke in the Philippines.
Most people have something that surprises them. The number one reason people leave isn't money or even the government. It's because of loneliness, I realized, right? People just feel out of place here. They didn't realize what they were getting into. At first, everything is exciting and new, but over time, they start missing their family from their home country, their friends, and they're far from home. The time zone makes it hard to talk to loved ones, and even simple things like that you have to do that you never had to do before, like wait in super long lines, deal with power outages, deal with what seems to be endless paperwork just to get simple things done. They start to feel exhausted and they start to feel homesick, and some people just can't handle it, and then eventually it gets to loneliness. The visa paperwork. You keep paying fees and fees and fees. They tell you about what you need, but they don't tell you all the little hidden fees that are involved in it, and it kind of feels like you're being nickeled and dimed. Know that you have a safety net where you can go back to your home country at any time. I'm talking about really living here, like making it your own, having all your stuff here, building relationships here, all that stuff. Right? If you have a criminal background, get all that cleaned up. Make sure that when you step foot on this soil, you have everything that you need to succeed. Because if you're thinking about moving to the Philippines or are already here, you need a clean criminal record. And in addition to that, you don't want to break the rules when you come here. You may think, oh, I can handle it if something bad happens, to go to jail. Maybe you've been to jail before, been to prison, all that other stuff. It's likely not the same here. You have to make sure that you never end up in these places, because places like this can really end you. They can literally end your life in here. And there's not much for you here when stuff like that happens. Here's one part that nobody talks about. Yeah, some people run out of money. We know that. But a lot of times, like, it's more than you think. Some people make up excuses. Like, they'll say, oh, my parents sick, so I got to go back. Or something else happened and I got to leave, right? But they don't tell you that they just ran out of money. I want you to make sure that you don't run into trouble. But I'm talking about having that money, because once you get down to move, go back home. If everything falls apart, right, start over again. Especially with all the red tape, bureaucracy, the things you got to do here. You can start over again, save up, and then maybe come back here. Have money coming in every month. I need you to be ready for the real stuff. I don't want you to fall victim and then have to turn around and go home, because a difficult situation, it's embarrassing, and you kind of have to start over. It's like you lost a piece of your life if you have to start over, especially if you have ties here, family, children, relationships that you built. And I'm telling you this because I want you to win and not lose all your money.
Look, I get it. The Philippines, tropical paradise, island vibes, endless stretches of beach, yada yada. Let's be real for a second. The Philippines, it's not for everyone. I've been here in the Philippines long enough to know the drill. I've seen it all. The wide-eyed tourists, the expats who came and never left, and those poor souls who booked the first flight back home faster than you can say adobo.
You live and you learn. This is a great place to live, in fact, if you know what to expect and what you see coming down the line, because it's all very familiar stuff.
Look, if you're the kind of person who thrives on hemorrhaging money, you enjoy spending more than you can afford, by all means, skip this place. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and send this video to a friend who needs a reality check. In the Philippines, English is basically a second official language. Everyone is sir or ma'am. Politeness is still a thing.
Sir, you pay. You pay, sir. That is the bottom line of living in the Philippines.
When the money runs out, you see the real Philippines. These haunting words came from a weathered expat, a man who had spent 16 years in this tropical haven, 13 of them in crushing poverty. His voice carried the weight of hard-earned wisdom as he shared his unfiltered revelation, asking that his identity remain concealed. His story was one that many foreigners living the dream here refused to believe could ever be theirs. When he first arrived, he was flush with cash. The safety of the Philippines, the inviting smiles, and the warm hospitality of the people made it easy to let his guard down.
As a foreigner, most of us are here in the Philippines living the good life with very few struggles. So when I heard about these two guys that are in the video today, and I heard about what was going on, I was kind of blown away.
The carefree singing, the thoughtful gestures, it all lulled him into a sense of security. This is home, he thought, but that was the trap. First came the small investments, a business managed by her brother, a house titled in her name, a contractor who was her cousin, a notary who was her uncle. He gave generously, helping the community without being asked, funding siblings' educations, buying a multi-cab for the business, and covering unexpected expenses. Slowly, the whispers begin, then the side glances, then sudden coldness when the ATM required maintenance. Generosity had become second nature. He gave without being asked, spent without realizing until one day the well ran dry, and that's when he woke up. The same people who once called him Sir, Mahal, or Kuya turned against him the moment he started saying no. The Philippines' famed hospitality, he learned, floats on a sea of need. When you're buoyant with money, the smiles flow and you're carried like a king. But start sinking and you'll learn how quickly warm hands become kicking feet. Foreigners watch videos of broke or homeless expats and wonder, how could they let this happen? Why don't they just go home? The answer is simple. Leaving isn't an option once you're broke. You can't renew your visa without money. Overstaying means fines that trap you in debt. If you can't pay, you can't leave. If you can't pay or leave, you become a criminal in the eyes of the system. Reality check foreigners and expats. Moving to the Philippines or living in the Philippines, your visa is a form of rent. If you don't pay your rent, essentially you are engaging in criminal activity. Somebody said, theft, oh, well, that is a cold shoulder to cry on. And in the Philippines, to be broke can somehow become to be exploited. Almost every broke expat has one thing in common. Romance, it starts with an investment phase. 6 months in, let's start a business. 1 year in, my mother needs hospital bills paid. 2 years in, we should build a house. Then the money runs dry. The affection fades, the visa expires. And when the arguments start, the final stage begins, weaponizing Bureau of Immigration. She reports his overstay. He's arrested. She sells whatever assets she can access. By the time he's in a detention cell, accruing daily fines, he's already lost everything: his money, his dignity, and sometimes his will to survive. An overstaying expat, considered one of the lucky ones because a network of his fellow countrymen quietly sheltered him. Some owned businesses, others had spare rooms. They gave him odd jobs, always under the radar, always when no Filipinos were watching. Why the secrecy? Because foreigners can't legally work without the right visa. If caught, his benefactors could face accusations of harboring illegal labor, a crime punishable by fines or worse. His story isn't unique. It's a cautionary tale for every foreigner who thinks it won't happen to me. The Philippines is paradise until it isn't. And when the money's gone, that's when you learn what survival really means. Extensions are cheaper than overstay fines. Overstay fines are cheaper than bail. Bail is cheaper than the hell of detention, of which the real cost is pieces of your soul you'll never get back. Bring monthly income, not capital. A 100,000 monthly income is safer than 10 million pesos in a spouse's name. Never invest what you can't afford to lose. Property you can't legally own is a ticking time bomb. Keep an exit plan. The moment you stop being useful, the smiles disappear. It is better to leave the Philippines with 100,000 pesos than arrive at a detention center with 1 million pesos. Because in the end, the only thing more heartbreaking than losing your money is realizing how little it ever truly bought you. With no safety net, fines pile up, trapping you in debt. An expired visa leaves you unemployed and unable to escape. What begins as a temporary struggle can soon turn inescapable reality. Your paradise can quickly turn dire, leaving you facing the embarrassment of failure and the humiliation of hell. Pride won't pay your bills, and empty wallets find no forgiveness here. In the Philippines, dreams have expiration dates. Save yourself the regret, leave with dignity before destitution takes hold.